September 12th of order. We'll stand for the pledge and remain standing for a moment of silence. Pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Mr. Thomas, roll call, please.
Certainly. Mr. Delaney?
Here.
Mr. Dern?
Present.
Mr. Doyle?
Here.
Mr. Hadley?
Here.
Mr. Seitz?
Here.
Mr. Taylor?
Here.
Mr. Vento is absent this evening. Mayor Schlegel?
Here.
We have a quorum.
Thank you, Mr. Thomas. I'll entertain a motion to approve the treasurer's report for the month of August 2022.
So moved.
Motion by Mr. Dern.
I'll second that.
Second by Mr. Taylor. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Need a motion to approve the expenses for the month of August 2022.
I'll make that motion.
Motion, Mr. Taylor.
Second.
Seconded by not Don, Paul Dern. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Also need a motion to approve the minutes of the August 8th, 2022 council meeting.
So moved.
Motion by Mr. Hadley.
Second.
Second by Mr. Seitz. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Thank you, gentlemen. Mr. Mayor, recognition of achievements in the community.
Well, I only have one, and that is 2 weeks ago, the Plum Boro Soccer Association held their annual kickoff classic. 252 soccer teams showed up for a 3-day tournament here in Plum. Kudos to the board, the soccer board, to the volunteers, and to the parents. There were no issues. 252 soccer teams, averaging 15 children per team, and we didn't have one issue. So that put Plum on the map. That's the largest tournament in western Pennsylvania. So my thanks to the organization. They plan all year, and they pulled it off again. That's all I have.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Civic announcements.
Good evening. I'm Pam from the Plum Library. I just want to say that September is Love Your Library Month. You might have seen some yard signs around the community. And any donations we receive during the month will be eligible to be matched thanks to the Jack Buncher Foundation. This is the 6th year of Love Your Library Month, and we would not be able to offer the programs and services we do without the support of everyone in our community. So any donation is greatly appreciated. And I just wanted to say, while summer's over, we still have many, many great programs at the library. So once people are settled back into school, please be sure to check our website. We have calendars, and we hope to see you at the library soon. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Anything else? Mayor Druschel? Oh, I'm sorry, Mr. Nowak.
Plum Community Center. We mainly just want to announce that our newsletter is out for September and October. I was going to go over a few things. You're pretty crowded, but they can access it on Facebook. There's 5 pages of all the activities that are going on this month. And to touch base on them all would be a bit much, but I will touch base on the bingo on Monday afternoons, because I do know about that one.
The voice of bingo.
Exactly, and it's doing extremely well. We're about 10 months in, and we're averaging about 35 ladies and gentlemen a day, every Monday, and we're getting today we gave away over $500 in 3 hours. So
Super.
we're doing well. But please check out the newsletter. It's mailed out. It's also available online, like I said, on Facebook, and looking it up.
Thanks, pal.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Hi, everyone. My name is Kara Nicoletti. I served as the audit manager on the borough's 2021 audit engagement this year, and I wanted to give you a brief presentation summarizing the audit results for this year. So the reports have been issued final at this point. I believe that you all would have received a copy of them, most likely at your August meeting. The reports were issued final on August 10th. For the borough, we issued a few different reports that I'll quickly go over, in addition to some reports that we issued for the real estate tax office. So for the borough, we issued a communication to those charged with governance letter. This is a letter that we issue for all of our audits that includes some required communications. It lists that it is our job as the auditors to perform an audit in accordance with generally accepted auditing standards and to issue an opinion on the financial statements. It also lists if there would have been any issues that we would have run into as part of the audit process. If there were any material adjustments that we would have had to post as part of the audit process, we would include those as part of the letter, but there were none that we had to include in the letter. Also, if there were any changes in accounting policies or if there were any significant disclosures, they would also be included in the letter. There were no changes with accounting policies. There were some significant disclosures that I can quickly touch on when I go through the highlights of the financial statements. The other reports that we issued for the borough are the audited financial statements. Again, I'll go through the highlights of those after I go through all of the reports that we issued. And we also issued a management letter for the borough. So included in the management letter would be any recommendations or any findings that we would have run into as part of the audit process. If there would have been any significant deficiencies or material weaknesses that we would have found as part of the audit, we would include those in that letter. There were no significant deficiencies or material weaknesses that we did run into. So we did just have two other matter best practice comments that were included in the letter. But mainly just best practice comments. In addition to those reports, we also issued for the borough the DCED report. That report is required to be issued final and filed with the state before the March 31st deadline, and we did issue that report back in March. And then for the real estate tax office, we performed a separate audit of that office, and we issued financial statements and a management letter for the real estate tax office as well. So next, I'll quickly touch on the highlights from the financial statements, but I'm not going to go through them in very much detail. So if you have any questions, feel free to interrupt me and ask those questions. Like I mentioned, it is our job to issue an opinion on the financial statements. So we issued an opinion, and we issued an unmodified opinion on the primary government financial statements. So that would be on the borough's financial statements. One thing similar to prior years, the Plum Boro Municipal Authority is considered a component unit of the borough. So their financial statements should technically be included in the financial statements of the borough. Now, similar to prior years, we have never included the municipal authority's financial statements in the financial statements of the borough. So we do issue an adverse opinion on the Plum Boro Municipal Authority's financial statements just because they aren't included in the financial statements of the borough. So following the opinion included in the financial statements, the first set of actual financial statements are the government-wide financial statements. These are the financial statements for the entire borough that would list any long-term assets, any long-term liabilities. So that would be any bonds payable, any notes payable, any capital assets that the borough's had. So it's more of a long-term focus on those financial statements. The net position on the government-wide financial statements at the end of the year was a negative $4.6 million. This is an increase in net position from the prior year of around $1.7 million. And again, the negative net position is just because of those long-term liabilities that are included on those financial statements. The next part of your financial statements are the governmental fund financial statements. Those financial statements are more similar to what you are most likely looking at throughout the year and on a monthly basis. The fund financial statements list the activity for all of the major funds of the borough in the front of the financial statements, and then a combining schedule in the back that includes activity for all of the smaller funds. Your major funds, which are based off of activity during the year, larger assets and revenue balances. Your major funds for the year were the general fund, the 2019 bond fund, the ARPA fund, which includes the funds that you received from the American Rescue Plan Act, and the 2021 bond fund. The only fund that I'm really going to go through, that I'm really going to mention is the general fund, because that's the fund that includes the operating activities of the borough. I wanted to point out the general fund balance at the end of the year, so at December 31st, 2021 was $3.2 million. That is a slight decrease from the last year's balance of around $1.7 million. But I also wanted to point out, of that $3.2 million, $2.6 million of it is unassigned, so it's not restricted for any purpose to be spent on any certain purpose. Following the financial statements, in the financial statement packet is the footnotes to the financial statements, which include more information about some of the numbers in the financial statements and just also some of the activities of the borough during the year. I did want to point out that there are 3 significant disclosures that we consider to be some of your more important disclosures. These are similar to the significant disclosures that we would have reported in the prior years. Footnote 5 is related to the guarantee of the Plum Boro Municipal Authority debt. Footnote 8 discloses your pension liability and all of the actuarial assumptions used to calculate that pension liability. And then footnote 10 is the OPEB liability, similar to the pension liability. It includes all of the actuarial information that goes into calculating that amount. So other than that, the main highlights that would be included in your financial statements for the year, some of the main activities that you would see when looking through the financial statements that might look different from prior years would be the 2021 bond refunding and the issuance of the 2021 bonds. You did receive $1.4 million of ARPA funds during 2021. They were not spent during the year, so you can see them listed as unearned revenue on your financial statements. And then also there was a donation of the library building of around $2 million that was recorded as revenue on the financial statements as well. So that basically summarizes the highlights of the financial statements and the audit results for the year. Does anyone have any questions?
In English, are we in good shape or bad shape?
Good shape.
There you go.
Yes, it is a clean opinion. We just have to issue that adverse opinion because on the Plum Boro Municipal Authority's financial statements not being included, which is similar to what you have seen in the past.
Yeah. Thank you, Karen.
Thank you, Karen.
Thank you.
Appreciate it. Any other civic announcements this evening? Okay, seeing none. President's comments, of which I have none. Moving to citizens' comments on agenda items. We did have a few people sign up this evening. Katrina Harmel, please.
So you have me on the agenda. I'm sorry, I signed up for 6, 8, 9, and 10 of the motions for today.
Right, okay, that's
Okay.
fine. You signed, are you on the agenda?
Yes, I'm on the agenda.
Okay, then you want to speak to these numbers, to these
Yes,
items? Okay,
yes.
great.
Okay. So, the motion of the Alvey Lawrence subdivision, we did receive comments from KU Resources, and they are asking us to add a gas well note and a wetland note. We will be adding that, as well as to the Temple Sinai plans. The consolidation plans are the successor of the 2 precursor plans that I just stated, in which they have all the information that was requested. And then we will be here for also the PRD to go over the modifications and the requests for your review.
Great.
Okay.
All right, thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you.
Vicki Rustler.
My name is Vicki Rossler. I am president of the Plum Mustang Foundation, and I'm here to tell you about the restart of this foundation. The Plum Boro Foundation for Educational Enhancement is a 5013C that was formed in 1991. In 2018, this foundation went dormant. Then in 2021, Mike Caligieri, who is our senior advisor, reestablished this foundation, and we are now moving forward doing business as the Plum Mustang Foundation. We have 25 trustee members, 1 student trustee, 5 school district liaisons, and several champion trustees. They are as follows: myself, Nicole Shingle, Jen Mascaro, Jamie Caligieri, Mike Caligieri, Dr. Renee Richardson, Dr. Daniel Bias, Drew Bartow, Rick Barat, Mitchell Coates, Debbie Depew, Paul Dern, Jody Dojanovich, Tanya Edmonds, Susie Gardner, Deanna Hadley, Dr. Troy Lyons, Dr. Monica Mendez, Danny Moriarty, Justin Newman, Shannon Newman, Dr. Kenneth Smith Lesko, Lisa Strickland, and Rick Vigno. This is a great group of people with ties to the community who are very dedicated to helping the foundation succeed. The Plum Mustang Foundation's purpose is to provide additional resources designed to support the students within the Plum Boro School District. The foundation believes the students, employees, and community will directly benefit from our efforts as we work to enhance the educational experience in the schools. The goal of the foundation is to develop relationships that will allow us to become partners with students, employees, community, businesses, and other organizations to work together to expand student opportunities and to support the utmost positive learning environment in the Plum community. Excuse me. Our mission is to support and celebrate the Plum students from start to finish. We're currently working on supporting the district's Be Plum Positive initiative, which is an initiative that recognizes and rewards our students who look for the best in others, dream big, choose positive influences, speak and act with kindness, thus starting a chain reaction for a better tomorrow. The foundation is providing T-shirts for the students in kindergarten through second grade that will say, "In a world where you can be anything, be kind," and it'll reference the chain reaction on the back of the shirt. These shirts will be given to students when an employee, community member, or peer recognizes a student demonstrating the 5 goals of Rachel's Challenge. The goal is to recognize all students. The T-shirts will be worn throughout the school year to keep the message of kindness in the forefront. We are looking for funding to provide 3rd through 6th grade with these T-shirts. Also, we are funding $250 awards to seniors. The Plum Mustang Foundation Plum Proud Student Recognition Award will present up to 8 $250 awards to current seniors at Plum Senior High School who demonstrate the core values of Rachel's Challenge. Nominations can be made by employees, community members, or peers. Selected students will receive the award for looking for the best in others, dreaming big, choosing positive influences, speaking and acting with kindness, and starting a chain reaction. College and vocational plans are not necessary to apply for this award. The foundation is actively seeking donations from the community and businesses to further fund current and future district and student initiatives. If you're interested in donating, please go to the plummustangfoundation.org. Thank you.
Thank you.
No one else has signed up for agenda items, so we'll move along the agenda to our council actions. Leading off tonight, Mr. Hadley on behalf of the Planning and Economic, I'm sorry, Mr. Delaney, on behalf of the Planning and Economic Development Committee.
All right, I got a few here, so bear with me. On behalf of the Planning Economic Development Committee, I move to adopt ordinance 964-22, vacating a street known as St. John Street in accordance with section 1731 of the Borough Code.
Motion by Mr. Delaney,
Seconded.
second by Mr. Dern. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
I move to reapprove the Knapp, Scott, and Teeter line, lot line revision FSC-01-22.
Motion by Mr. Delaney,
Second.
second by Mr. Hadley. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
I move to approve the Flynn's Tire parking lot expansion land development application, SP-01-22, condition upon the applicant obtaining a highway occupancy permit, adding a no parking sign at the top of the parking lot, submitting a revised stormwater plan, entering into a development agreement with the borough, and the final review and approval of the borough engineer.
Motion by Mr. Delaney,
Seconded.
second by Mr. Dern. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
I move to approve the Havana Apartments conditional use application, CU-02-22, condition upon final review and approval of the borough engineer.
Motion by Mr. Delaney,
I'll second that.
second by Mr. Taylor. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
I move to grant preliminary/final land development approval for the Havana Apartments Plan SP-03-22, condition upon the approval of the DEP sewage planning module, a letter form of the PBMA indicating there are no outstanding issues, and the final approval of the borough engineer. The request for a waiver to allow existing vegetation to serve as a buffer is also granted.
Motion by Mr. Delaney,
Seconded.
second by Mr. Dern. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
I move to approve the Alvy Lawrence subdivision plan FSC-05-22, a condition upon final review and approval of the borough engineer.
Motion by
I'll
Mr.
second
Delaney,
that.
second by Mr. Taylor. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
I move to approve the Linda Edgar Lot Line Revision Plan FSC-06-22, condition upon final review and approval of the Borough Engineer.
Motion by Mr. Delaney.
Second.
Second by Mr. Seitz. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
I move to approve the Temple Sinai Subdivision Plan FSC-07-22 as condition upon final review and approval of the Borough Engineer.
Motion by Mr. Delaney.
Seconded.
Second by Mr. Dern. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
I move to approve the Patriots Estates Consolidation Plan FSC-08-22 as condition upon final review and approval of the Borough Engineer.
Motion by Mr. Delaney.
Second.
Second by Mr. Seitz. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
And the last one, I move to adopt Resolution 940-22 granting tentative PRD approval for the Patriots Estates Housing Development, PRD-01-22.
Motion by Mr. Delaney.
Second.
Second by Mr. Hadley. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Thank you, Mr. Delaney. On behalf of the Personnel and Management Committee, Mr. Hadley.
Thank you, Mr. President. On behalf of the Personnel and Management Committee, I move to accept the resignation of Tim Joyce from the Zoning Hearing Board effective August 31st, 2022.
Motion by Mr. Hadley.
Seconded.
Second by Mr. Dern. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
On behalf of the Personnel and Management Committee, I move to appoint David Majernik to fill the unexpired term of Tim Joyce on the Zoning Hearing Board through December 31st, 2022.
I'll second that.
Motion by Mr. Hadley, seconded by Mr. Taylor. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
And finally, on behalf of the Personnel and Management Committee, I move to adopt Resolution 936-22, declaring intent to follow the municipal records schedule.
Motion by Mr. Hadley.
Seconded.
Second by Mr. Dern. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Thank you, Mr. Hadley.
I think.
On behalf of Public Safety, Mr. Dern.
Thank you, Mr. Doyle. I have two things to do tonight, and the first one is I move to authorize the advertisement of the proposed changes to the civil service amendments.
Motion by Mr. Dern.
Second.
Second by Mr. Seitz. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
And secondly, I move to authorize the letter of intent for the PA Chiefs of Police grant application for funding to be used for police body cam equipment.
Motion by Mr.
I'll
Dern.
second that.
Second by Mr. Taylor. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
That's all I have, sir. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Dern. On behalf of Parks and Recreation, Mr. Taylor.
Thank you, Mr. President. On behalf of the Parks and Recreation Committee, I move to accept the resignation of Jessica Beichler from the Library Board effective August 31st, 2022.
Motion by Mr. Taylor.
Second.
Second by Mr. Hadley. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
On behalf of the Parks and Recreation Committee, I move to appoint Amy McShane to fill the unexpired term of Jessica Beichler on the Library Board through December 31st, 2024.
There's a motion by Mr. Taylor.
Seconded.
Second by Mr. Dern. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
And on behalf of the Parks and Recreation Committee, I move to approve a request from the Gamma Storm Softball to utilize Plum Creek Park on October 15th and 16th, 2022.
We have a motion by Mr. Taylor.
Seconded.
Second by Mr. Dern. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
That's it.
Thank you, Mr. Taylor. On behalf of the Finance Committee, Mr. Seitz.
Thank you. So on behalf of the Finance Committee, I move to adopt Resolution 937-22, adopting the minimum municipal obligation for the Borough of Plum for 2023.
Motion by Mr. Seitz.
Second.
Second by Mr. Hadley. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
I also move to accept the 2022-2024 Meyer-Dussel proposal for auditing services for the Plum Community Center.
Motion by Mr. Seitz.
Seconded.
Seconded by Mr. Taylor. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
I move to accept the 2022-2024 Meyer-Dussel proposal for auditing services for the Plum Library.
Motion by Mr. Seitz.
Seconded.
Seconded by Mr. Dern. All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries.
And finally, on behalf of the Finance Committee, I move to approve the settlement agreement with Rycon Construction, Inc., the Gateway Engineers and Design Stream, LLC.
Motion by Mr. Seitz.
Second.
Second by Mr. Hadley. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? That motion passes. Thank you, Mr. Seitz. Mr. Hadley, again, on behalf of the Roads, Equipment, and Grounds Committee.
Thank you, Mr. President. On behalf of the Roads, Equipment, and Grounds Committee, I move to adopt Resolution 938-22, condemning a public storm sewer facility lot and block number 1103-R-012 for the benefit of the Plum Borough, or Borough of Plum.
We have a motion by Mr. Hadley.
Second.
Second by Mr. Seitz. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
And that is all.
Thank you, Mr. Hadley. That ends council actions for the evening. Next on the agenda is the mayor's report, which we are going to skip tonight.
Really?
Please?
I wasn't here last month, and they harassed me. I saw the video.
If you must.
Yes, well, they kept saying they saved 35 minutes. Well, we're going to use it tonight, so buckle up, buttercups. Under the mayor's report, our uniformed officers responded to 981 calls in August. And the ATS radar sign, people asked for it, we put it out. Sardis Road and Pine Valley Drive. I'm always amazed at the totals. 21,563 vehicles one way for the month. The speed limit on that road is 35, and an idiot had to do 55. On Pine Valley Drive, 27,377 vehicles. The speed on there is 25 mile an hour, and some idiot had to do 52. And on Ross Hollow Road, 10,000 vehicles, and the speed is 25, and somebody had to do 59 on Ross Hollow. That just bothers me. We got new vehicles in, and our first pickup, it had to be a Ford 150.
Perfect.
Yeah. Well, yeah, okay, you're a Ford person. Found on the road dead. I had the pleasure of participating a couple weeks ago with our police officers on a Sunday morning for Shop with a Cop. And there were several kids up there from Plum, and they had $250 to spend. And a couple of our police officers went out and raised some additional money, which gave them $350 for back to school. And if you haven't seen an officer who is single, no children obviously, trying to take a little girl around to find out what she wanted for school, that in itself is worth getting up early and going up there for. But our officers do a great job every year in taking kids around. And on the 29th of October, they'll be participating in the drug take-back from 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. So if you have any out-of-date medications, don't put them down the commode, don't throw them in the garbage, bring them down here, turn them in. It takes you a minute to walk in with a bag and say, here, they put it in, and they take them out to be incinerated. And again, thoughtful citizens. Michael Soniglia, he does this every month. He brought in donuts and muffins for our officers. Now, I joke in the new building about putting a scale for our officers to get weighed before and after their shift, because there's always stuff in there to eat. And my rant. I get phone calls, and the staff here gets phone calls. They're frustrated, I'm frustrated. I come down here and increase their frustration. We have people in this community who own property and don't take care of it. And I understand you're going to build a car, an old car, I understand it, but do you need 5 collapsed vehicles out there in your driveway or in an alley up in Renton? I don't understand that. And we have people that rent property who do not live in Plum who own that property, one on Halton Road and one on Universal Road. And our frustration arises because we've taken them to court multiple times, and they were found guilty and fined. The fines are getting to the point that the fines are more than what the property is worth. So I took it upon myself, and I spoke with a judge, and I've turned it over to our solicitor's office, and we could press criminal charges. And I am pushing for criminal charges against these people. Because when you move into a community Plum Boro. The community can be, and I'm going to use this as an example, Renton or Regency Park and Miller's Lane, pick a street. There's an unwritten covenant that you have agreed to when you bought your property, that your neighbors will maintain their property and you will maintain yours. Yet we have people that come in here and don't honor that unwritten covenant. So we are now moving forward since I found out that we'll take you to court. We have done that. And now we're going to go press criminal charges because this is ridiculous. I get calls all the time. People are not maintaining their property. Their neighbors are calling because it's unsightly. You're selling your house. And people drive down the street and say, nice house. But look at that garbage across the street. So they don't buy your house, even though you've honored your covenant. The frustration is going to end. We're going to go after people because this is just ridiculous. We don't have too many. We're not a blighted community by any means, but there are a few that don't understand the responsibilities they have as homeowners, whether that be a property owner, whether that be you who have a mortgage or you who rent that property to someone else and you don't care who you rent it to. And that, sir, is my rant, and I'm done.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Moving along, the committee reports. The Intergovernmental Cooperative Committee with the Plum School District.
We have nothing.
Okay, moving along then. The Finance Committee, Mr. Seitz.
Thank you, Mr. Doyle. Finance Committee, in the month of August, the borough recognized revenues totaling $3.9 million, and currently we're at 80% of our overall budget for the year. In expenditures through the month of August, the borough has expended $9.27 million, or 65% of the total year's budget. From a standpoint, year-long standpoint, we have no current budget concerns, and expenditures are tracking as expected. Revenues are slightly over budget. The Finance Director kicked off the 2023 budgeting process with department heads and discussed the timeline through the budget adoption period for next year. And the Finance Committee will review the preliminary budget during the month of October in preparation for presentation at the November 7th council meeting. That's all I have.
Thank you, Mr. Seitz. Roads, Equipment, and Grounds, Mr. Hadley.
Thank you, Mr. President. For the roads, equipment, and grounds for September 12th, 2022, first on the docket, the Peterbilt Jet Vac truck was delivered at the end of August. Orientation and operation training is complex, and the goal is to have 4 employees trained on operation and maintenance of the truck. Dairy Construction has started the 2022 paving in Holiday Park and will be working in Whispering Pines next. Inlets were repaired on Prescott Drive and Havana Drive. We did drainage work, continues at Plum Creek Park. Roof conductor pipes were installed on the pavilion and bathroom roofs. Pipe and inlets will be installed so this water can drain into the creek. The parking area was graded to direct water to the existing inlets. Asphalt repairs and milling were completed on Aberdeen Drive, Center New Texas Road, Entrance Drive, Francis Road, Logar Drive, Ralph Street, River Road, Shepherd Drive, and Wimbledon Drive. Japanese knotweed is being removed from a portion of Plum Creek to support a riparian buffer grant program with Penn State. An annual maintenance of retention ponds is underway at the Cobblestone Drive Pond and the Rockland Plan. And finally, preventative maintenance and/or state inspections were performed on 26 borough and police department vehicles. And that is all I have to report.
Thank you, Mr. Hadley. Mr. Dern, Public Safety.
Thank you, Mr. Thomas. Mr. Maloney cannot be here tonight, so I will give his report. For the month of August, Plum EMS had a total of 274 responses. Out of that, patients transported were 157, and responses to other communities for mutual aid was 27. 22 of those responses resulted in a transport to the hospital. Total mutual aid received into Plum was 11, so out of all the requests for EMS in Plum, 4.3% were turned over to neighboring EMS agencies. Along with running emergency calls throughout the month of August, Plum EMS provided 4 free car seats to families in need and conducted 6 car seat safety checks throughout the month. And thanks to the Crib for Kid program, we were able to donate 2 free cribs and education for families who were in need of a safe place for their child to sleep. And last night, I'm pretty proud of this one, one of the Plum EMS team members, my wife, Dawn Marie Dern, received the Star of Life Award from the Pennsylvania EMS Provider Foundation. This award recognized Dawn Marie for 20 years of service with Plum EMS and her achievements of going above and beyond, setting examples for others to follow, and her exemplary service to the community. We cannot say how incredibly proud we are of her. And that was a statewide award that was awarded to 12 people throughout the whole state. So it's pretty cool.
That's great.
That's all I have.
Thank you,
Thank
Mr.
you.
Dern. Congratulations to Mrs. Dern, too, by the way. And I think we should probably get an award together for her from being married to him for as long as time.
It's been a breeze, baby.
Maybe for
Congratulations,
you.
Don. Thank you, Mr. Dern. Mr. Delaney, on behalf of the Planning and Economic Development Committee.
Thank you, Mr. President. For the Planning Economic Development Report, the Planning Department issued 105 permits this month. The Planning Commission met to discuss 3 submissions, all of which were approved. The Zoning Hearing Board met to discuss 2 submissions and approved both. Staff performed the MS4 outfall observation point inspections. Code enforcement completed 92 residential occupancy inspections and addressed 28 complaints. And Plum was awarded a CDBG grant for $50,000 to be used for demolition of 2 structures on Salzburg and New Texas Road. We're waiting to hear back from the COG to see if we can use those funds for additional houses. That'd be it, Mr. President.
Thank you, Mr. Delaney. Parks and Recreation, Mr. Taylor.
Thank you, Mr. President. Larry Mills soccer fields and the midget field were seeded in all the troubled areas, and the areas that were repaired to prepare for the soccer 22 kickoff classic that the mayor alluded to earlier. This event, like he said, attracted 250 youth soccer teams from western Pennsylvania and surrounding areas. Metal roofs are being placed on the pavilions at Plum Creek Park. Phase 2 of the Renton Park upgrade is ongoing, with the walking trail being added and the bocce courts nearing completion. With Borough Haps, the Monday market will continue through September 26th. It's located at Plum Creek Park from 3 to 6. Fall Fest is scheduled for September 24th from noon to 6 p.m. The event includes food trucks, craft beer, children's games, pumpkin patch, and pony rides. As of today, there are 288 children registered for the pumpkin patch, so make sure to go online and register to get your time slot. Christmas at Plum Creek is scheduled for Thursday, December 1st. The winter issue of the In Plum magazine will be sent out in mid-November, and the borough gained 20 new Facebook and Savvy Citizen followers this month. And that's all I got.
Thank you, Mr. Taylor. That ends committee reports. Moving along to citizens' comment on non-agenda items. No one has signed up for that, but I see a non-agenda?
I'm sorry, I didn't know that we had to sign up.
Oh, that's no problem. You're more than willing to still come up. Are you here for the Willow Village issue?
Yes.
Okay. No, that's no problem. No problem at all. I'll just let you know. If you give me, you're all welcome. I see everybody with papers, and you're all able to come up here. But let me just preface this by saying, because this might answer all your questions. The biggest issue, I'm assuming, is the drive-through, correct? Well, we're not going to allow it. There is going to be, it's going to be connected, but there's going to be a gate, and that gate will be locked. And that gate is only there for emergency services, fire trucks. If there's a fire, then they can get through there quicker. There'll be no through traffic there, though.
Can we have something in writing so it doesn't open up in the future to alleviate traffic from the plant? Is that something we can do?
Where are we, Dave, with this?
No, so
I'm
on
sorry, I didn't
council's
hear that.
agenda tonight, we had tentative PRD approval, and the one issue was the connection. So
And
your,
is it in the conditions that this is not going to be a drive-through?
yes, it shows that as the ordinance requires that the roads will
So
be
it's
connected, and there'll be a
part of the
gate
conditions.
separating that, so.
Okay.
So that is in writing, then.
But you understand that the community is concerned that in the future, if it becomes an issue with traffic on Davidson to Salzburg, that the borough doesn't open it up on us.
It's not going to open up.
It's not.
It's not going to open up.
Is there a way we can get something in writing?
It's in writing.
It's in writing.
Yeah, it's in writing.
Please understand, if there's a problem where they can't get in through the Davidson Road, the emergency vehicles, and it's an emergency, they're gonna go up through your place.
They could go-
Okay, but that's only in the case of an emergency and one road is blocked. But
And-
like they're saying, it is in writing.
And also, we'll allow the plow trucks on a storm event, snow, to go through to plow it. They'll have a key, the drivers of the trucks. But it's not gonna be a through street at all.
This isn't good back and forth. Somebody should come up here, whoever wants to speak. You're more than welcome to come up.
Have we answered your question?
He still has some more. Yeah, go ahead.
Hi, I'm Greg Gangloff. I live at 141 Willow Village Drive. Been there about 10 years. I guess my other question is, if we're allowing that, there's not going to be heavy equipment, and that's not going to be the start of the main entrance to building the plant, is it? So we don't have the heavy
You
equipment
mean a
going?
construction entrance?
Yes, correct.
No, it will not be.
Okay. Thank you.
You're welcome to come up.
That, as long as there's a gate and.
Yep. It'll be a locked gate.
Okay. Now, my concern was for the kids.
Right. Absolutely. Anybody else? Yes, sir.
So responsibility of remembering to lock the gate.
State your name.
Dave Sproul, 7701 Aspen.
Okay.
Plow truck goes through, he's busy, he's doing his thing, I get it. Is he gonna remember to come back and lock it, or are we supposed to pay it?
So we're
Probably going to.
gonna leave them
He's a
open.
busy guy.
We are gonna leave them open for the entirety of the storm until the storm is cleared and the roads are cleared.
Okay, but then
So
someone
that-
will be,
So that's typical, so our policy is to have, the roads cleared within 24 to 48 hours, so that would be the
I get
most
it.
that would be left open for, but I don't envision it being left open that long.
okay.
And Mike, can we, if need be, the police officers can lock that?
Yeah, anybody can,
Okay.
Anyone else? Sure, come on up, sir.
Dave Stonbaugh, 106 Willow Village Drive. Who's going to be in charge of handing keys out? And what type of gate is this going to be? Do you guys have a submittal on it? Is it a developer going to install the gate? A taxpayer dollars going to pay for the gate? A gate can mean a lot of different things.
I'm gonna think it's gonna kinda like the gates we have, if over in Garlow, for emergency vehicles to get onto the turnpike if there's an accident, they have an access code. You couldn't go down and get through that, and it's not left open.
True.
It's gonna be a similar gate to that. That's what I'm assuming. Am I right on that?
Well, I think typically the safest way that we protect keys, you see businesses, our new building will have a Knox box. That Knox box can only be opened by public safety personnel. Inside that box is the key to the gate. So, typically businesses, our community building, library, senior center, they have these Knox boxes for first responders to open.
And who's going to pay for that? Taxpayer dollars, or is the developer going to pay for that?
So tonight, council adopted a resolution, a tentative PRD approval. And this tentative PRD approval gives the developer time between tentative approval and final approval of the first phase to work out issues with the borough. So council has decided that this will have a road and a gate. Things that have to be worked out is location of the gate, the size of the gate, will there be any bollards around there? The resolution passed by council tonight shows that the developer is responsible for the purchase and installation of that gate.
And will the borough be putting guidelines as to what type of gate needs to be installed?
I mean, we'll be working with the developer to,
That has to be worked
So
out.
that's going to
with
be part of the process?
yes.
So you're going to be looking at some type of submittals on the type of gate that needs to go in, and is that going to be engineered?
Well, certainly there's submittals for anything dealing with that housing plan, and for this, that it needs to be worked out before council approves phase one development. So before anything can be built, this has to be worked out.
Okay, thank you.
Anyone else? Please.
Lori Donatucci, 7717 Aspen. If somewhere down the road, somebody, whether it's a group from that community or someone decides it'd be better if they open that gate, would that also be a new thing brought to council? Would that have to be presented to council as a new, I'm talking maybe, 3, 4, 5 years down the road?
Well,
That would have to be brought up again.
It's an ordinance, so you can't just ignore an ordinance. They would have to go through a whole process
The
of
answer
changing
is
it.
yes.
So yes, it will be.
Yes.
So we'd know about it. It couldn't
Yes.
happen. All right, thank you.
Anyone else? Okay, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
I'll second it.
Motion by Mr. Delaney.
Second.
Second by Mr. Hadley. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? We are adjourned. Thank you all.
Katrina.